What if I told you that one decision, just one, could erase your future, break your family, and lock you behind bars for nearly 3 decades, even if you never hurt anyone? This is the story of Marcus Hale, a kid who had a bright future, a full-ride scholarship on the way, and a life everyone expected to bloom. Until one moment, one shortcut, changed everything. A moment that started as a favor for a friend. A moment he ignored every red flag. A moment he thought would make his life easier, but instead cost him 25 years in prison. And the craziest part? Marcus still says, "If I had just waited 10 more minutes, none of this would have happened." This is how one wrong decision destroyed everything he had, and how he clawed his way back. To understand Marcus's story, you need to know who he was before the prison walls. Marcus Hale grew up in Eastbrook, one of those neighborhoods where people work hard, looked out for each other, and believed that good things came to people who stayed focused. He wasn't rich, but he had something far more valuable: potential. Teachers loved him. Neighbors trusted him. His principal used to say, "That boy is headed somewhere. Don't blink, he'll outrun us all." He was the kind of kid who woke up early to walk his little sister to school. The kind of kid who repaired old laptops just to help classmates who couldn't afford their own. The kind who got invited to both honor club meetings and pick-up basketball games. By 17, Marcus had already built a reputation for himself: straight-A student. Robotics club captain, part-time grocery store worker, and a community volunteer on weekends, he was disciplined, smart, and focused. Everyone believed Marcus would be the one who finally made it out. But potential doesn't mean life is perfect. And behind all the shine, Marcus carried weight that nobody saw. His mother worked double shifts. His father had been laid off for months. Bills stacked up like towers. And the college admissions officer had made something painfully clear: your scholarship is strong, but test scores matter. Keep everything steady until results come back. Marcus felt like the entire future of his family sat on his shoulders. He wanted to help, to contribute, to make things easier. But the truth is, when money runs tight, even the smartest kids can start thinking in shortcuts. That's when Tyrell reappeared. Tyrell wasn't a bad person. He was just the opposite of Marcus: impulsive, always hustling, always chasing fast cash. They'd been friends as kids, but their lives went in totally different directions. One evening, Tyrell showed up at Marcus's job, leaning on a display of cereal boxes like he owned the place. "Tyrell, bro, I got something small. Real small. Just a ride. Easy money. Help me out." Marcus laughed it off at first. He always did. But Tyrell didn't leave. And he didn't stop talking. "Look, Marcus, I know your mom's been stressing. I know you're trying to hold everything together. This is legit nothing. Just drive me to pick up a package. You don't even gotta get out of the car." Marcus didn't like it. His stomach twisted. Everything in him said no. But when Tyrell mentioned the amount he'd pay, Marcus paused. It wasn't a life-changing number, but it was enough to cover groceries. Enough to help with rent. Enough to breathe. And that's where the first crack formed. It happened on a Friday, the one day Marcus actually allowed himself to relax. He'd gotten off work early. His sister had made honor roll. His mom had cooked dinner. Everything was calm. Everything was normal. Everything was going right. Until 9:42 p.m. Marcus's phone buzzed. "Tyrell, I'm outside. You down? It's now or never." Marcus looked at the message for a long time. He knew he shouldn't go. He knew it didn't feel right. But he also knew what his family was going through. He sat on his bed, staring at the wall. Thinking. Overthinking. Trying to make sense of the pressure in his chest. Then came the message that broke him. "If you don't want to help, it's cool. I'll find someone else. Thought we were brothers." That did it. Not the money. Not the pressure. Not the fear. It was loyalty, twisted, guilt-based loyalty, that pushed Marcus up from the bed and out the door. He grabbed his keys. He told his mom he was going for a quick drive. He stepped outside and walked straight into the moment that would change his life forever. Tyrell climbed into the passenger seat with a grin. "Just drive, bro, 20 minutes tops." Marcus kept asking questions. "Where are we going? What are we picking up? Who are you meeting?" Tyrell kept dodging. But still, Marcus drove. They pulled up to a quiet street. A man approached the car. Nothing threatening, no weapons, no shouting, just a simple handoff. A small box. The man passed it to Tyrell. Tyrell set it on the floor. Marcus didn't touch it, didn't open it, didn't ask. He just wanted to go home. And then, red and blue lights exploded behind them. The moment Marcus saw the flashing lights, his heart dropped so hard he could actually hear the thump in his chest. He wasn't a bad kid. He'd never been pulled over, never been in trouble, never even gotten detention in school. And now, police lights painted the inside of his car red and blue. Tyrell froze. The box sat on the floor like a ticking clock. Marcus whispered, "Tell me what's in that box." But Tyrell didn't answer. He just stared forward, breathing fast, his knee bouncing. That's when Marcus felt it, the cold realization that he was in a situation he didn't understand, because he'd trusted someone who didn't respect what he had to lose. Two officers approached, calm, not aggressive, just cautious. Standard procedure. Marcus kept his hands visible, just like his mom taught him years ago. "Officer. Evening. Do you know why we pulled you over?" Marcus shook his head. He was so nervous he couldn't speak. Turns out, the taillight Marcus didn't know was broken had triggered the stop. A coincidence. A tiny, unpredictable coincidence. But sometimes, life changes on coincidences. The officer's flashlight passed over the interior of the car. He wasn't looking for anything specific, just running protocol. Then he spotted the box. Small, unmarked, out of place. "Officer, what's in the package?" Tyrell answered too quickly, "Just something for my cousin." The officer nodded slowly, not convinced, not accusing, just noticing the nervousness. Then came the question Marcus had been terrified of. "Sir, is this your vehicle?" "Yes." "And is that your package?" This was the moment. Right here. The split second that would shape the next 25 years of his life. Marcus could have told the whole truth, that it wasn't his, that he didn't know. He wanted to. But Tyrell shot him a look. Not a threatening look. Just desperate. A silent plea. A "bro, don't fold on me" expression. Marcus hesitated. 1 second, maybe less. But hesitation is sometimes all it takes for life to tilt sideways. So he said the worst possible thing. I guess so." He didn't mean it. He didn't think it would matter. He thought they'd look inside, see it was nothing serious, and tell them to go home. But Marcus didn't understand the law. He didn't understand what possession meant. He didn't understand that responsibility falls on the driver unless proven otherwise. He didn't know this was the moment that sealed his fate. The officers remained calm. No shouting. No aggression. No force. They simply followed protocol. Step out of the vehicle. Marcus complied. Hands visible. Trying not to shake. Tyrell was asked to step out too. Then the officer opened the box. Inside wasn't anything dangerous. No weapon. No substance. No illegal material. It was something far more unexpected. Credit cards. IDs. Packets of printed names and addresses. Identity information. Stacks of it. A fraud kit. Nothing violent. Nothing dangerous. But very illegal. And because Marcus had claimed the package might be his, and because he was the one driving, and because Tyrell refused to speak, the officers followed procedure. Marcus wasn't arrested with force. He wasn't thrown on the ground. It was calm, professional, procedural. But the emotional weight? That was heavy. As they placed handcuffs on him, gently, respectfully, Marcus felt his future slipping from his hands. He kept repeating, "I didn't know what was in the box. I swear, I didn't know." And the officer's response was honest. "Then you should have said that earlier." At 1:14 a.m., Marcus sat in a holding room. He'd never been in one before. No shouting. No chaos. Just sterile walls and a metal bench. The officer asked if he wanted to call someone. Marcus dialed home. His mother picked up immediately, worried, half asleep. "Marcus, what's wrong?" He tried to speak. His voice cracked. He felt shame, fear, and disbelief all at once. "Mom, I'm at the station. There was a package. I didn't know." She didn't get angry. She didn't yell. She simply said, "I'm coming." In her tired voice, Marcus heard something he'd never heard before, disappointment. Not disgust. Not anger. Just heartbreak. And that hurt worse than anything else. What Marcus didn't know was that Tyrell was already wanted for multiple fraud investigations. And because Marcus was with him, because the package was in Marcus's car, because Marcus had claimed responsibility in panic, the system treated them as a pair. Not violent criminals. Not dangerous threats. Just participants in a financial crime ring. Financial crimes can carry long sentences, especially when multiple identities are involved. There's suspicion of a ring and someone refuses to talk. Tyrell. Marcus was given paperwork he didn't understand. Asked questions he couldn't answer. Given rights he'd never imagined needing. He was 17. A minor. But the charges? Those fell under a category that allowed him to be tried as an adult. Not because he harmed anyone. Not because he intended anything malicious. But because the law said, possession with intent to commit financial fraud affecting multiple victims. Intent, the word that would haunt him. Intent isn't about what you did. It's what the system believes you meant to do. And Marcus? He had no way to prove his innocence, because even he didn't know the full truth. This is where everything collapsed. The prosecutor laid out documents linking Tyrell to previous fraud networks. Tyrell refused to talk. Refused to take responsibility. Refused to admit the package was his. And because Marcus had said, "I guess so," the prosecution argued he was knowingly transporting illegal material. Marcus's lawyer tried, really tried, to protect him. But the combination of poor phrasing, wrong place, wrong time, association with a known suspect, and possession by proximity stacked the case against him. The judge wasn't cruel, wasn't hostile, but firm. He spoke slowly, clearly. "Mr. Hale, the law does not require you to have harmed anyone. It requires only that you participated, knowingly or unknowingly, in the possession and transportation of prohibited identification material intended for fraudulent use." Then came the sentence. 25 years. The courtroom didn't gasp. No dramatic tears. No shouting. Just silence. The kind that weighs on your chest. When Marcus arrived at Greenridge Correctional Facility, the first thing he noticed wasn't the bars, or the uniforms, or the sound of metal doors sliding. It was the silence. Not an empty silence, but a controlled one, like the building itself was holding its breath. He expected chaos. He expected shouting. He expected the worst. But instead, it felt like walking into a hospital that forgot how to smile. Officers directed him quietly, professionally. No hostility. No yelling. Just routine. Stand here. Face forward. Hands at your side. Marcus obeyed every instruction. Not out of fear, but out of disbelief. His mind replayed the judge's words on loop. 25 years. It still didn't feel real. He felt like any moment someone would run in and say there was a mistake, a misunderstanding, some kind of reversal. Instead, a guard clipped a badge on his shirt. Inmate Hale, M Housing Unit, E2, and that was it. The future, the scholarship, the robotics competition, the promise he'd carried since childhood, all placed into a folder and sealed shut. When the door slid open to his new cell, Marcus expected someone intimidating. But instead, he met Calvin. A quiet man in his late 30s, neatly organized, reading a book on personal finance. He looked up, gave a polite nod, and said, "You must be the new kid. I'm Calvin. Top bunk is yours." Marcus blinked. He didn't know what to say. Calvin wasn't threatening, wasn't harsh, wasn't anything like the stereotypes Marcus had imagined. He was calm. "Calvin, you look shocked. First day." Marcus nodded. Calvin closed his book gently. "All right. Here's the first thing you need to know. Mind your business. Stay respectful. Find a routine. And don't let this place tell you who you are." Marcus didn't realize how badly he needed those words until he felt his eyes burn. He turned away, pretending to unpack, but Calvin saw everything. "Calvin, you'll be all right, Hale. One day at a time." It was the first kindness Marcus had felt in weeks. Over the first few days, Marcus learned the rhythm of the facility. Wake up at 6 headcount, breakfast, work assignments, recreation, lights out at 10. He also learned something surprising. Most people inside weren't what he expected. They talked about books. They talked about their families. They played cards, worked jobs, studied for classes. Some joked around. Some minded their own business. And Marcus realized something painfully ironic. He wasn't surrounded by dangerous people. He was surrounded by people who, just like him, had made decisions they couldn't take back. Some were careless. Some were unlucky. Some were guilty. Some weren't. But they all had one thing in common: time. Too much time. 3 days into his sentence, Marcus got his first phone call approval. He hesitated. He didn't want his mother to hear the background noises. Didn't want her to imagine the walls around him. Didn't want her to feel more pain than she already carried. But he dialed home anyway. She answered on the second ring. "Marcus. Baby. Are you okay?" Her voice cracked. Just hearing her made his chest tighten. "I'm okay, Mom. I promise. I'm just trying to adjust." There was a long silence. Not anger. Not disappointment. But grief. "Marcus," she whispered. "You are not your mistake. Do you hear me? I raised a good boy. I know who you are." He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, trying not to sniffle in the receiver. "I'm sorry, Mom." Her response was immediate. "Don't apologize to me. Just stay strong. Stay focused. And please, don't let that place change your heart." When the call ended, Marcus sat on the small bench in the phone cubicle and stared at the floor. He didn't cry loudly. He didn't break down. But a single tear slipped down his cheek. Calvin, waiting for him outside the phone area, noticed. "You good?" Marcus nodded. Calvin didn't press. He just said, "Come on. Dinner time." A week into Marcus's sentence, he finally learned the part nobody had told him. Tyrell took a deal. Word spread through the facility slowly, passed to Marcus by another inmate who knew the court paperwork system. Tyrell had admitted full involvement. Stated he orchestrated the fraud. Admitted the materials were his. And in exchange, he got 7 years. Marcus got 25. Why? Because Marcus had unknowingly tied himself to the case by claiming the package might be his. Because he drove. Because the system believed he was assisting in a larger operation. Tyrell's plea deal protected himself, but left Marcus exposed. When Marcus learned the truth, he sat on his bunk in stunned silence. Calvin watched him for a long moment before speaking. "You trusted the wrong person. Happens to the best of us." Marcus whispered, "I threw my whole life away trying to help someone who wouldn't even help me back." Calvin shook his head. "You didn't throw it away. You stumbled. Now you stand up again." Marcus looked at him. "How?" Calvin tapped the book beside him. "You start building a future they can't take. Even in here." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything he'd lost: college, careers, dreams, time with his family, 25 years of his youth. But then he remembered something his principal once told him: your environment doesn't define your potential, your decisions do. So Marcus made a decision. A real one. Not a desperate one. Not a pressured one. Not a rushed one. He decided, "I'm not leaving this place the same way I came in." He didn't know how he'd do it. He didn't know where to start. But he knew this: if one wrong choice put him here, maybe one right choice, repeated every day, could help him rebuild. When he told Calvin the next morning, Calvin smiled gently. "That's step 1, he said. "Now let's find step 2. In the end, Marcus's story isn't just about prison. It's about how a single moment, a single sentence, a single hesitation can shape the next 25 years of a person's life. It's about how one wrong decision doesn't always come with warning signs, and how the people we trust can sometimes cost us everything. But more than anything, his story is about resilience. Because even behind walls, Marcus refused to let the system define him. He refused to let one mistake erase the person he'd worked his whole life to become. 25 years is a long time. Too long for a moment he never saw coming. And if there's one thing we can take from his journey, it's this: your decisions matter. Even the small ones. Even the ones made under pressure. Even the ones you think won't follow you. Because they can, and they will. But no matter what life throws at you, no matter how far off track you fall, you always have the power to stand back up. To rebuild. To rewrite your ending. If Marcus can do it from inside a cell, imagine what you can do from where you are right now. White right pointing backhand index, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more real stories, more life lessons, and more untold journeys just like this one. Thanks for watching.